This is Soapbox Radio. Potting it out there with My Lime Boots. The travel edit.
Hey guys, it's Ryan from My Lime Boots. It's good to be back with you again this Thursday afternoon from a cold, wet and rainy Joburg. Looking forward to our first travel show as Soapbox Radio. So welcome, thank you for joining us once again. Thank you to everyone who tuned in last week. We had a great show and we're looking forward to an awesome show this week. Today in the studio I have my friend Kerry Botha, who writes the blog Kerry Travels. Hi Kerry.
Hi Ryan, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you, Kerry. So Kerry and I last year in November went and explored the Cape Winelands courtesy of Thompson's Holiday, and we have John Ridddler who will be joining us a little bit later in studio, and that's what we want to share with you guys today. We wanted to share what we found, why we went there, what's happening in the Cape Winelands. Kerry, remind us, how do you think this trip came about?
Well, I think if I remember correctly, we were at a wine tasting, right?
Oh, my best
We
effect.
thought we would have more of the same. Thank you. And
But on a sponsored basis.
I had the good fortune to meet John Ridddler early last year from Thompson Holidays, and I think we thought, well, how can we make more of giving exposure to the Cape and its wine route?
I recall at that time we were having a chef's dinner, and we had a winemaker there regaling stories of what they were doing in the Cape Winelands. And when we're hearing such positive stories, I think it sparked an interest in both you and I to understand a little bit more about our local Cape Winelands, literally on our doorstep.
Exactly, Ryan. I think what's become obvious is that these wine farms are far more than wine, and they are attracting enormous foreign interest in terms of tourists, and they're destinations in themselves.
They are indeed. We were looking to find these stories. I think what I said to you that night is, Kerry, we need to go find these stories. We need to go find these local stories. I think it was Avondale that that was presenting that night, and I said to you, there has to be more of these stories. Let's go find them, and that sparked ideas in your mind and my mind. And we went.
Well, the wines are stories in themselves,
Indeed.
Ryan. I think the labels speak about the origins of the wine and the stories behind the wine, and each wine farm has got its own story.
They do indeed, and that's what we were looking to press into. Now, Kerry, we went travelling probably the first week in November. I think it was the 5th of November last year. Just remind the people listening why we went travelling in November.
Well, thanks to Thompson Holidays, we secured three wine estates to visit: Wildekrans, Val de Charon and Spier Wine Farm. And I think what our intention was really to profile these farms as a destination, possibly in December. It's a very popular time for Gautengers to go, and in fact all South Africans to go to the Cape. And going forward into the new year with the summer season.
Yeah, definitely. As Kerry said, we visited Wildekrans in the Bot River Valley. We visited Val de Charon in the Wellington Valley, or the Boervlei Valley, and we visited a stalwart, which we'll talk about later, in the wine industry, Spier Wine Farm. If you have a look on my Facebook profile, My Lime Boots blog, and on my Twitter account, you'll see I've just put up the links to the various posts that I wrote. Kerry and I both wrote a series of posts for each venue that we visited. Go along, click on there, have a look and see what we're talking about. Follow the conversation as we discuss each wine farm. Kerry, you're also doing something special today on your Facebook profile.
Indeed, Ryan. I've been very fortunate in the generosity of Val de Charon, and they've given us a case of their wonderful red wine blend called the Black Contest.
A whole case. Am I eligible to enter that, okay? Did I tell you my best friend?
Friends and affiliates, associates not included in the offer, I'm afraid, right? But yes, and I'm asking you to like my Facebook post about the offer, and also to engage with the story that I wrote with Val de Charon. And
Kerry, just remind us, where do we find you on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and the blog?
Well, you go to Kerry Travels Facebook /Kerry Travels. On Twitter, I'm at Travels Kerry, and on Instagram at Kerry Travels.
Oh, there we go. I would suggest you go and have a look on Kerry's Facebook page and have a look and see what you need to do to enter that giveaway. That what the wine we're giving away is the Black Contest.
It's the Black Contest.
That was quite remarkable. I'm not a big red wine fan myself, but when we experienced that wine, which we'll talk about just now, most enjoyable.
Really lovely wine.
You're tuned in to Soapbox Radio. Podding it out there with My Line Boots. The Travel Edit. Find My Line Boots on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. At My Line Boots. And on YouTube. At My Line Boots Live.
Yes, we want to hear from you guys as Kerry and I are talking, and as we have different guests from the different wine farms, and we've got John joining us a little bit later. As something partakes in your mind, please share with us on my Facebook profile, My Line Boots blog, or on my Instagram, my Twitter account, My Line Boots. Send us your comments so that we can engage with you directly. That's what we do here on Soapbox Radio. We engage directly with you guys. So, Kerry, the first wine farm we went to was Ridddler in the Botha Valley.
Yes. That's correct, Ryan. Beautiful farm. Perhaps not your typical wine farm in the sense that it was established much later than the original wine farms in Stellenbosch in 1864, and then recently taken over and revamped and applying very modern farming methods to ensure sustainability. It was actually a joy to be on this farm.
Indeed. Located just 10 kilometers from Hermanus, it's a great combination of spaces to stay, the winelands plus seaside, and that cool sea breeze that came upon us that Monday morning that we were there. The farm has a wonderful backdrop of the Overberg Mountains. Can you remember those?
Yes, I do. And in fact, they inspire the name Ridddler. And when you're on the farm, they speak about the leopards that still reside in the mountains. And yeah, I think one is in big sky country. One's so aware of the landscape and the mountains and these beautiful vines. I think I wrote in my blog post, Ridddler with the impossibly straight vines, thanks to the farm manager.
The ingenuity of farm manager Bram Gericke and winemaker William Wilkinson, who we had the pleasure of spending a morning with touring the facility. We're going to be joined shortly by Ilze from Ridddler. She owns the Endless Vineyards Boutique Hotel.
This is Soapbox Radio. Podding it out there with My Line Boots. The Travel Edit.
So like I said, when Kerry and I were down in the Botha Valley at Ridddler, we stayed on the property at the Endless Vineyards Boutique Hotel. Quite an experience, Kerry.
Yes, it was, Ryan. We each one had our own cottages and chalets, very tastefully decorated in a sort of laid-back cottage style with old wine barrels.
Perfect for a wine farm, okay?
Exactly.
Yeah. We're joined on the line now by Ilze Henderson, who's the managing director of Endless Horizons. Ilze, good afternoon to you.
Hi, Ryan and Kerry. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Good to have you on the show with us.
Very, very nice. Thank you. Sorry, we have a bit of a bad line.
Shame. No, we're having terrible weather here in Cape Town, in Joburg, but I hope your weather's better there. Ilze, we really enjoyed our stay at your venue in Ridddler. Tell us a little bit about where Endless Vineyards comes from and the thinking behind the establishment.
Okay, well, the cottages was added to the estate about 5 years ago. Originally, it was
Are we not getting Ilze?
Plains here on the farm back in the days when the ox wagons came over the mountain.
Okay.
So the cottages now is part of a hotel group called the Endless Group. Sister hotel in Durban called Endless Horizons. And we thought that to change the names would be quite appropriate to Endless Vineyards, considering that your view from all the cottages is of Endless Vineyards.
And that's something that Kerry and I can definitely attest to. I think we soaked up those Endless Vineyards. We can indeed, Ilze.
Yes, Ilze. What was this sort of your thinking behind the cottages? I mean, who typically are you trying to attract? think we've got a delay, Ran.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the cottages are seeing both leisure and the corporate market. Obviously, with our close proximity to Cape Town, we're an hour's drive from Cape Town and the airport. We do welcome weekend visitors and families quite regularly. The cottages are also quite nicely equipped for that market, having a kitchenette and 2 and 3 bedrooms. So that's definitely one of our target markets. But we have fantastic corporate and wedding facilities on the estate as well. So that market also frequents us. And I think we're quite versatile in that we can accommodate various groups of people and people from various walks of life.
Yes. And you don't have to self-cater. You can order meals from the farm's restaurant. Is
A
that
definite
correct?
plus for me, I must just add, because I'm not one to partake of the facilities of a kitchen.
Yeah. But it's a welcome.
Oh, shame. Well, we actually have a fantastic restaurant on the estate. Forage at Wildekrans is our indigenous dining restaurant, the first of its kind in this country. What makes it so special is that our chefs go out into the field and forage for their ingredients. So every dish is accompanied by a indigenous botanical or something foraged from the land or our nearby Walker oceans. So it's a complete local product, and it just takes us back into history of what our ancestors and the Khoisan used to eat. For example, we replace your traditional rosemaries and garlics with the likes of kapokbos, saffron, buchus, wild garlic, geranium. So those kind of elements make it onto your plate. It's really unique in that the diners have the opportunity to also see and touch and feel what we are flavoring their dishes with. There's a
What is the most
stage right next to the restaurant that our chefs show our diners what we have available.
That sounds absolutely amazing,
I
and I know
remember
that
those meals, Kerry.
we
Remember
had
we-
wonderful meals
couple
when
of
we were
meals
there.
Yeah.
Incredible with a real chefy touch. What's your most popular time of the year, Ilze?
Well, holiday seasons and school holidays are very popular. Of course, with winters being quite miserable in the area, we're not really that busy over the June and July holidays. However, we have some fantastic specials over those periods. So weekends do tend to get quite busy. And what is more romantic than cuddling up on a cottage on a rainy Cape Town day?
We're having a rainy Joburg day today, so I think we can quite easily manage the thought of that. Ilze, thank you so much for joining us. Kerry and I think really from the bottom of our hearts, really thank you for the time that we were privileged to spend with you and Bram and William touring the facilities. I'll never forget that Monday morning, about 11 o'clock on a Monday morning, drinking champagne with Bram and William. It puts future Monday mornings to shame since November.
They've never been the same.
Never at all. They could be, but they're not.
Sure.
But thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. And we look forward to enjoying your facility again shortly.
Great. Thanks, Ryan and Kerry. We hope to welcome you back very soon.
We look forward to that.
You're tuned in to Soapbox Radio. Podding it out there with My Line Boots. The Travel Edit. Find My Line Boots on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. At My Line Boots. And on YouTube. At My Line Boots Live.
Yes, Kerry and I would really like to hear from you guys this afternoon on my Facebook account, My Line Boots blog, and on my Twitter account, My Line Boots. Some thoughts as we talk through our experiences in the wine, and please send them through that we can share your thoughts of our time there. Next, Kerry, we talk about Val de Charon. I'm still not sure how to pronounce the name, and I think when Catherine comes on shortly, we're going to ask her. I think I probably drove you mad in the car all the way from Botha River to Wellington. Val de Charon. We'll have to ask her about that one. But next we're going to talk about Val de Charon, which is in the Wellington Valley, the Botha Valley, which was our second stop on our tour. Kerry, that sweeping driveway, that will forever be ingrained in my mind as the thing I associate with Val de Charon, that sweeping driveway.
The sweeping driveway with the late afternoon sun
my goodness.
Pouring out over the farm. And if you looked over the Botha Valley, I mean, it's relatively sparsely populated. So when you look over the valley, you can imagine what it must have been like for our forebears.
Yeah.
Much the same.
And lots of history in that valley, okay, which we're going to share shortly when Catherine joins us. Catherine Entwistle will be joining us shortly from Val de Charon. The infamous Baines Kloof Pass to the east, which lends its name to some of the product that comes from the farm.
Yes, the Peter Erasmus and the four white legs. The first toll road.
Indeed.
This is Soapbox Radio. Potting it out there with My Lime Boots. The Travel Edit.
So next we're joined by Catherine Entwistle, hotelier, owner of Val de Charon. Catherine, tell us, darling, how are you firstly? And secondly, how do you pronounce the name of your establishment?
I am so well, Ryan and Kerry. It's lovely to be on the air with you this afternoon.
Thank you.
From 40 degrees in Wellington.
Oh my goodness. That's probably like early summer for you guys. My goodness.
Perfectly right.
Is it? Really?
It is exactly that. It is French because of the Huguenots who brought the art and science of winemaking to our valley. And it means Valley of the Wagon Makers, because our valley is very closely linked to the Groot Trek. The wagons had to pass through and over the Baines Kloof, literally down that long driveway with our palm trees, before they headed north into the hinterland of South Africa.
So were you there to collect the tolls down the driveway?
Wagon Makers are Wellington.
Okay. So were you there to collect the tolls down the driveway back in the days, Catherine? Are you with me now? Catherine?
Oh, how I wish we could start introducing new tolls like Joburg.
Lady with the thought, apparently. I've got you. Are you with us, Catherine?
I'm right here. Are you?
Right.
There we go.
Catherine, you were so kind in allowing Ryan and I to stay in both your 4-star and your 5-star coach house, which is normally the domain of honeymooners. And so tell us a little bit about your philosophy behind the guest house and the coach house.
Thanks, Kerry. This little tourism bug bit me back in 2009, and we started the 4-star guest house. It's an 8-room family-friendly facility. And very soon thereafter, we saw that the winelands, because of its exquisite beauty, really had a great demand, especially in our area, for our honeymooners. Weddings are very central to the economy here in Wellington. So we created the coach house with all its bells and whistles, private swimming pools, jacuzzi baths, double showers, to get that romantic feeling going whilst being submerged amidst the vineyards.
The showers were amazing, I must admit.
I was quite taken with the pool. It was a little chilly, but the view of the pool was just quite magnificent. Glass of wine with the chaise longue. I mean, heaven.
In your element, okay? Be sure to check out on my Facebook account, My Lime Boots blog, and on my Twitter page, My Lime Boots, to see the links to the Val de Charon post that Kerry and I are speaking of. Catherine, tell us about how you guys at Val de Charon have incorporated the local history into the products. I'm thinking of your Peter Erasmus, your 4 White Legs, and your Black Countess range.
Thanks, Ryan. When I started the winery side of the business, I found that people don't drink wine, they drink stories.
Indeed.
So with our blended collection of wines, I gave each one a name which gives you a spirit of place. So, for example, Erasmus, he's a Cape blend. He was the original owner of our farm back in 1699 and the first winemaker as well. The 4 White Legs ties back to the Baines Kloof, which, as you so rightly pointed out, was one of the first roads to be tolled in South Africa. And story went, if you had a horse with 4 white legs, you could pass through toll-free. And then, of course, we have the lady of the house, our Black Countess.
Superb.
She's
one.
a bit of a cult wine, as you know. She's dark and seductive and perfumey and beautiful. She was the owner of the local house of ill repute back in Victorian days here in Wellington. And story day, she fell in love with one of her clients, who eventually married her, which in its time was quite a scandalous thing to do, and even more so because he was the Earl of Stamford, and Martha Solomon's
Shocking.
daughter of a freed slave. She became the Black Countess. She was taken off to meet Queen Victoria, who was scandalized. But to Martha's credit, she came back to our valley and the surrounds in Cape Town and started creating schools so that children, regardless of their gender or race, could all have a place to go to learn it. So very much the Angelina Jolie of her time. We gave her own wine as well. And when you come and visit us, as you know, you can actually still see some of those schools where Martha was so influential to this
Indeed,
day.
we did, and Kerry and I spent some time in those schools.
Find My Lime Boots on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
At My Lime Boots and on YouTube.
At My Lime Boots Live.
So, Kay, we've got Catherine on the line speaking to us about the Black Countess. You're running a special giveaway
I
on
am.
Kerry Travels. Tell us about that giveaway, Kay.
Well, it's a case of the Black Countess, courtesy of Elder What in order to qualify or to be eligible to win a case, I'm asking you to like Kerry's travel page, as well as engage with my post about the Val de Charon wine estate, and you'll be put in line for the draw. And I'll be announcing a winner next Thursday, Ryan. I'm hoping that
Yes.
we can announce it on a Brand Live next
100%.
Thursday.
On Soapbox Radio, definitely we will be standing on our soapbox announcing the winner.
This is a very, very exciting wine. I was so taken by the story of the Black Countess, and the wine is superb.
Great. Catherine, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for taking time out to speak to us about your amazing establishment. I look forward to seeing you and everyone on the farm again shortly. We greatly appreciated everything that you did for us.
Thank you so much, Ryan and Kerry.
Share
Have a
your
wonderful
thoughts and be part of the show now.
Send a message on Twitter or Facebook.
At My Lime Boots. You're tuned in to Soapbox Radio. Podding it out there with My Lime Boots.
So, Kay, our last stop on our Winelands tour was the Spear Wine Farm, a bit of a stalwart in South African wine farm terminology.
Indeed. Spear, I remember Spear wines when I was in my 20s, Ryan, quite a while ago, I'm afraid. But yeah, toasting with Spear wine for many a very special occasion in my life. The farm is truly it's an industry in itself. And quite
It's an amazing wine with amazing art collection on the property as well.
Yes, it's one of the most outstanding art collections in South Africa. And if you're a lover of art, the decor of the hotel, it all is designed to offset this magnificent art collection. In fact, the art is on display at every restaurant and key place on the wine farm.
Some of the highlights for me were being exposed to their farm to fork principle that they apply, where ingredients are grown on the farm and that is served to you at the table when you eat at one of their restaurants. Also the Segway tour, which I used to call the Sedgway tour, where I was reprimanded on the farm. Segway tour, where we got to connect with the land on a deeper level on that little scary two-wheel thing.
Yes,
We did pretty well at that,
I mean, yeah, and I got on and a couple of minutes of instruction and I was ready to go.
I think your instruction time was less than mine, to be honest. So I think you're more Segway advanced than me.
Hang in or fall off.
Yeah, if you fall, do it properly with grace. Unfortunately, Spear were not available to join us this afternoon on our discussion, but we thank them immeasurably for the time that they afforded us at Spear Wine Farm.
The Travel Edit.
Find My Lime Boots on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
At My Lime Boots and on YouTube.
At My Lime Boots Live.
So, Kay, we've got Catherine on the line speaking to us about the Black Countess. You're running a special giveaway
I
on
am.
Kerry Travels. Tell us about that giveaway, Kay.
Well, it's a case of the Black Countess, courtesy of Valdeschamps. What in order to qualify to be eligible to win a case, I'm asking you to like Kerry's travel page, as well as engage with my post about the Valdeschamps wine estate, and you'll be put in line for the draw. And I'll be announcing a winner next Thursday, Ryan. I'm hoping that we can announce it on Brand Live next Thursday.
On Soapbox Radio, definitely we will be standing on our soapbox announcing the winner.
This is a very, very exciting wine. I was so taken by the story of the Black Countess, and the wine is superb.
Great. Catherine, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for taking time out to speak to us about your amazing establishment. I look forward to seeing you and everyone on the farm again shortly. We greatly appreciated everything that you did for us.
Thank you so much, Ryan and Kerry.
Share your thoughts and be part of the show now.
Send a message on Twitter or Facebook.
At MyLineBoots. You're tuned in to Soapbox Radio. Podding it out there with MyLineBoots.
So, Kerry, our last stop on our winelands tour was the Spear Wine Farm, a bit of a stalwart in South African wine farm terminology.
Indeed. Spear, I remember Spear wines when I was in my 20s, Ryan, quite a while ago, I'm afraid. But yeah, toasting with Spear wine for many a very special occasion in my life. The farm is truly it's an industry in itself. And quite
it's an amazing wine with amazing art collection on the property as well.
Yes, it's one of the most outstanding art collections in South Africa. And if you're a lover of art, the decor of the hotel, it all is designed to offset this magnificent art collection. In fact, the art is on display at every restaurant and key place on the wine farm.
Some of the highlights for me were being exposed to their farm to fork principle that they apply, where ingredients are grown on the farm and that is served to you at the table when you eat at one of their restaurants. Also the Segway tour, which I used to call the Sedgway tour, where I was reprimanded on the farm. Segway tour, where we got to connect with the land on a deeper level on that little scary two-wheel thing.
Yes.
We did pretty well at that,
I mean, yeah, and I got on and a couple of minutes of instruction and I was ready to go.
I think your instruction time was less than mine, to be honest. So I think you're more Segway advanced than me.
Hang in or fall off.
Yeah, if you fall, do it properly with grace. Yes. Unfortunately, Spear were not available to join us this afternoon on our discussion, but we thank them immeasurably for the time that they afforded us at Spear Wine Farm.
The Travel Edit.
Find My Lime Boots on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
At MyLineBoots and on YouTube.
At My Lime Boots Live.
So lastly, we're joined by John Ridddler from Thompson's tour of Thompson's Holidays. John, you made this tour, this winelands tour for Kerry and I possible. Number one, a huge thank you to you and Thompson's. Welcome, John.
Absolutely.
No, nice to be here.
Cool.
So you've got a very interesting business model, John, which really only became apparent when we engaged with you to get on this tour. I think everybody understands Thompson's as Thompson Holidays as international tours, but boy, I've just realized that you have an enormous repertoire of local destinations that you package for the local industry.
Hi, Kerry. What's interesting is, in fact, we used to be called Thompson's Tours. We're now called Thompson's Holidays, and the reason is we make holidays specifically for one particular family or couple. So in other words, they're tailor-made for you. So that the tours word is long gone. Now holidays and bespoke holidays for each individual who phones into us.
Now, John, I thought Thompson's was always internationally based in terms of what your product offering was. Tell us, we find lots of amazing local deals through you, as Kerry and I discovered on this winelands tour. Tell us a bit about Thompson's.
Our reputation is a little bit about being an international holiday company. The truth is actually South Africa is our biggest product.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Go South Africa.
Yes, absolutely.
Local is lacquer indeed, John.
Absolutely. And And of course, we have such an amazing country with such a diverse weather pattern throughout the year that there's always something that's really hot on the press. But I'd like to actually just take up arms with Ilze earlier on, who said, that her product tends to be more summer driven. And in fact, we're going to change that because one of the nicest times to be in the Cape is in winter.
I couldn't agree more. Sitting with this rainy weather by a fire on a wine farm.
Absolutely amazing. Sunny days, and then the mist sets in, a bit of rain. It is their rainy season, and it's so welcome. And it's a wonderful time. And anybody who hasn't been to the Cape in winter should just do it right away. Do it this winter because it is a fabulous experience. And in fapt, a Cape Townian once described it to me as champagne days. And that's what they are. They are champagne days. They're beautiful.
Now, while Kerry and I were away on this Winelands tour, I put Thompson's to the test. They offered, for each post that we wrote, each venue that we visited, Thompson's offered a package which included flights, accommodation, car hire, and I took them at their word. And I at Spear Hotel, I phoned into the reception desk to find out what the price was per night, and I certainly could not beat the price that Thompson's was offering for a 2-night stay. In fact, if I had booked directly with Spear, I would have paid the same price that I paid to Thompson's, but with Thompson's I get airfare and I get car hire. So, John, you've got a dedicated customer, me, going forward. Tell us, John, if I went onto Thompson's right now on my computer, what amazing special would I find that you guys are offering at the moment? Boil us over.
Well, just talking about the 3 hotels that we've been chatting about in the last half an hour. I mean, the Spear Hotel at the moment, we've got a special of 4,508 Rand, and that includes 2 nights at the hotel, which is bed and breakfast.
Sure.
It includes your flights down to Cape Town and a lovely car thrown in to get around. And of course, the big bonus here is that 2 kids stay free. So of course you've got to pay for their flights and their meals, but you can have another 2 kids in the room. So that for families makes a huge difference.
If we have adult friends who act like kids, can we take them with? Because I don't have children.
Put them in
and if so, could you sign here, please?
Put them in short pants and gym slips.
There we
work. Yeah. So moving on then to Val de Charon, slightly more at slightly less, 4,420. 4,420 Rand, and that's again with flights, taxes, car hire, accommodation, bed and breakfast, and they throw in a wine tasting as well. And we've just heard about their wonderful wines, and hopefully Catherine will give us all a sip of all those wonderful wines we talked about earlier on. And Wellington, of course, is one of those gorgeous wine areas that's not that well known. Stellenbosch has sort of stolen it over the years, but Wellington and Paarl are becoming so well known and well worth going to.
Yeah. Well, John, current specials?
Yeah, and then that was 4,420 with flights. And then lastly, Endless Vineyards, which is an appropriate name.
That's Wildecrans, eh?
At Wildecrans. Yep. What a wonderful name for a wine farm. And of course, I'm a little ADHD myself, so I love things that are planted in straight lines that suit me enormously. At Hermanus, and there it's 3,576 Rand, and that's also for 2 nights with a fly-in, car hire, etc., bed and breakfast. And that's valid until the 30th of April.
I dare anyone to go and try and match that deal privately themselves. It's impossible.
Join us and we'll do it for you.
Wonderful. John, a big thank you to you and to Thompson's for hosting Kerry and I. It was certainly a wonderful week spent between the two of us, and we'd like to say cheers. We have a glass of wine in the studio, so cheers to everyone, and cheers to John.
Cheers to John.
To
thank
a
you,
wonderful
John.
time.
And thank you, Ryan, for having me on your show.
Thank you so much. Thank you, John, for joining us. Thank you, Kerry, for being with me this afternoon.
Find My Lime Boots on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
At My Lime Boots and on YouTube.
At My Lime Boots Live.
Just quickly before we finish, just to confirm that next week we have a very special show coming. We'll be chatting to my mate Leb Skywalker, who's done all the photography on my blog over the years, and we're going to be discussing selfies and the impact of selfies on modern day life. We're looking for 3 selfie models. So if you think you're a selfie king, selfie queen, we need your information. We need you in studio. Leb is going to show you how to take the most amazing selfie. Thank you everyone for joining us. This is My Lime Boots on Soapbox Radio, and we are finished.
You've been listening to Soapbox Radio.
Podding it out there with My Lime Boots. Find My Lime Boots on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
At My Lime Boots and on YouTube.
At My Lime Boots Live.